council chamber was enormous, taller than any building on Earth, with walls that shimmered like liquid metal, and lights floating in the air like tiny stars. The aliens were gathered in clusters, their many shapes and colors strange and frightening, but all eyes were on the new human prototype ship at the center of the room. Some of the aliens whispered, others laughed, and a few shook their heads in disbelief. "This is what Earth sends," one tall alien with silver wings hissed, its voice sharp like glass. "A fragile little machine, hardly fit for travel." Another snorted, making a sound like a thunderclap. "I have seen eggs stronger than this." The humans stood quietly. At the side, the man, their lead scientist, tall with broad shoulders and calm eyes, watched in silence. His hands were hidden behind him, clenched tightly, but his face showed nothing. His heart beat fast, but he did not show fear. Then, a small voice broke the laughter. The room fell quiet, as if someone had cut the air itself. "You hurt my mom," a little alien girl screamed, her voice trembling with fear and anger. She was tiny, no taller than a child on Earth, with bright green eyes that shone like gems. Her mother, a taller alien with soft blue skin, had stumbled near the prototype, and had been shoved roughly by one of the laughing aliens. The laughter stopped immediately, replaced by whispers and gasps. The council members stared at the girl, unsure how to respond. Some looked angry that a child dared speak. Others looked embarrassed that they had been cruel. The man stepped forward slowly, his movements calm, deliberate, yet heavy with tension. He knelt before the little girl, showing his hands, hidden. All this time, and the room seemed to hold its breath. On his palms, a strange light glowed, flowing like liquid energy. The color was soft, warm, and alive, changing gently as he moved his fingers. "What is this?" one alien gasped, stepping back. "No human can have this power." Another whispered nervously, "Impossible." "How?" The little girl's eyes widened. You can help," she asked, hope mixing with fear. The man nodded slightly. Not a word spoken, but the glow on his hands seemed to promise safety. The aliens looked at each other, fear and curiosity replacing their mockery. Some of the taller ones stepped closer to see, careful not to anger him. The room was silent, except for the quiet hum of the prototype ship, its lights blinking slowly, like it was waiting too. The man's gaze swept across the council, calm but firm. His eyes seemed to say, "Do not underestimate us." The aliens who had mocked Earth now felt a strange tension, a warning hidden in silence. The little girl took a small step forward, trusting him, her voice soft. "Please, help my mom." The man reached out, his hands glowing brighter. The mother's injuries were not severe, but the touch of his hand seemed to heal the pain. A soft light surrounded them both, and the mother looked at him, eyes wide with awe. Whispers started again, but this time it was not mockery. "They have something we do not understand," one alien muttered. "Perhaps Earth is not as weak as we thought." The council watched in stunned silence. The laughter had vanished, replaced by fear, respect, and curiosity. And as the man stood slowly, he keeping his hands open and glowing, the room seemed to realize something important. Earth had been underestimated, and now the rules were about to change. The little girl smiled faintly, her mother safe, but she looked at the council, daring them with her small voice. "Do not hurt anyone again." The man nodded once, firmly, and the aliens knew, quietly and uneasily, that this human and this tiny world was not as powerless as they had believed. The first shock had passed, but the story was far from over. The council chamber would never forget the day the humans showed their strength, and the little alien girl's cry shattered their laughter. The council chamber was still quiet, the echoes of the little girl's cry lingering in the air. The aliens stared at the humans with new eyes, some in fear, some in curiosity, but none dared laugh. The man stood tall, calm, his glowing hands now resting at his sides. But the energy in the room had changed. The little girl held her mother's hand tightly, still trembling. Why did they hurt us?" she asked, her voice small but firm. The man's eyes softened. "Because they do not understand us yet," he said simply, "but soon they will." A silver-winged alien leader stepped forward, its eyes narrow and sharp. "Explain, human," it demanded. "Why does Earth send this fragile prototype? And why do you show such strange power?" The man nodded. "You want to see why Earth is different? Very well," he said, "but you must listen carefully. He began to explain, his voice calm and steady. While the council leaned in, listening, some aliens still whispered, "Unsure if this human could truly be trusted. Our prototype may seem small," he said, "but it is not just metal and engines. It is built for life, for intelligence, and for creativity. It learns, adapts, and works with those who use it, not against them." The aliens frowned, clearly not used to thinking of machines this way. One muttered, "Machines are tools, nothing more." The man smiled faintly. "Not all machines are the same, and not all humans are the same either." He then explained the truth about the little girl's mother. "She was hurt because your council did not see her as a life worth protecting. You mocked her thinking we were weak, but you were wrong." The council shifted uncomfortably, realizing they had misjudged. Then the man raised his hands again, and the glow returned, brighter this time. "This is our technology," he said. "It is simple, yes, but strong. It is made to heal, to protect, to survive without destroying. Humans may not have the largest ships or the strongest weapons, but we have something more." He paused, letting the words sink in. "We have intelligence, morality, and the ability to understand life in a way many of you do not." A murmur ran through the council, some aliens glancing at each other nervously. "Impossible," one hissed. "Humans cannot have all these traits." The little girl, standing closer to her mother, whispered, "He can. He is helping us." The man knelt again beside her, the glow of his hands gentle. "See," he said, "healing her minor injuries. We protect life, not just destroy it. That is why Earth may seem weak, but we are strong in ways you cannot measure." Some aliens began to nod, slowly, a few whispering in astonishment. Others still looked skeptical, but the laughter and mockery were gone. The little girl looked up at the man, eyes wide. "We can really protect each other?" she asked. The man smiled faintly. "Yes, always. That is what makes us human." Then, a sudden alarm echoed through the chamber, signaling the start of a council vote. The aliens glanced nervously at one another. The man's calm presence and quiet power had changed the mood, but they were unsure if the humans would be accepted or rejected. The silver-winged leader spoke again, voice low. "Perhaps we underestimated this planet." Its words hung in the air, heavy and meaningful. The little girl clung to her mother, but her eyes sparkled, hope replacing fear. And as the humans and aliens waited, the council realized something. Earth was not weak. The humans had hidden strength, and their power came not from weapons or size, but from courage, intelligence, and compassion. The first shock was over, but the tension remained. The real test, the acceptance or rejection of Earth, was about to begin, and the little girl's cry, which had shattered laughter, had also begun to change the hearts of many in the chamber. The council chamber was tense, the glowing hands of the man still resting calmly at his sides, but every alien in the room felt the quiet power radiating from him. The whispers had stopped, replaced by uneasy silence. Even the most confident leaders shifted nervously, unsure of what to do next. The silver-winged alien who had mocked Earth stepped forward, claws tapping on the metal floor. "You speak of morality and intelligence," it hissed, "but can you truly defend yourselves? Or will your fragile world crumble when we attack?" The man did not answer immediately. He studied the council carefully, then slowly lifted his hands. The glow returned, this time brighter, swirling gently around him like water made of light. The little girl stepped closer, hiding behind him, her green eyes wide. Then the man made his move, not to strike, but to show. He directed the light toward the prototype ship, and it began to hum, lights flashing along its hull. Energy lifted from its surface, forming a shimmering shield around the humans and the little alien girl. The aliens gasped as they realized the shield was not just defensive, it adapted, moving and changing to block imaginary attacks. This cannot be," muttered a tall alien with black eyes, its voice shaking. "No human can control energy like this." The man spoke softly, yet every word carried weight. "We do not fight to destroy. We protect, we adapt, we survive. That is Earth's strength." He stepped closer to the council, eyes firm, "and we will not allow harm to come to the innocent." A murmur went through the chamber as the aliens began to whisper among themselves. Some were impressed, others fearful. A few leaned forward, curious to see how far this power could go. The silver-winged leader narrowed its eyes, anger rising. "You flaunt your strength," it said, "but what if we attack your ship? What if we test you?" The man smiled faintly, and the shield around them shifted, forming shapes like walls, barriers, and flowing energy waves. The aliens hesitated, unsure where to strike. The room seemed to bend slightly, as if the humans and their prototype were rewriting the rules of reality. The little girl's mother stepped forward, still weak, but now standing tall. "You hurt us," she said firmly, "and we will not forget. But these humans, they do not fight to kill. That is why they are stronger than you think." Her words echoed in the chamber, and the council grew silent, unsure how to respond. The man's eyes scanned the leaders, calm but unyielding. "You mocked hers. You laughed at our prototype. But intelligence and morality cannot be measured by size or weaponry." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "We are small, yes, but our strength is in our mind, our heart, and our courage." For the first time, some aliens lowered their heads in respect. Others stepped back, uncertain of the humans' limits. Even the most hostile council members hesitated, realizing that their mockery had ended and a new challenge had begun. The little girl looked up at the man, her green eyes shining with trust. "Will they stop now?" she whispered. The man nodded. "For now. But they will remember," he said. His gaze returned to the council, calm and steady, a silent warning in every movement. And so, the stand continued, not a battle of weapons, but a battle of will, courage, and intelligence. The humans had shown they were not weak. The aliens had learned to respect a species they had underestimated, and the story of Earth's prototype, once laughed at, was beginning to change the council forever. But the final decision, the council vote that would determine Earth's place among the stars, still awaited, and every being in the room knew that what came next could either make humans allies or enemies. The stage was set, the tension high, and the humans had shown they were no ordinary species. The little girl's cry had started it all, but the man's stand had reminded the universe, never underestimate the underestimated. The council chamber was still quiet after the man's display of power. The aliens exchanged uneasy glances, some whispering urgently, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. The humans stood calmly, the little girl beside her mother, both safe under the glowing shield of the prototype. The silver-winged leader, once so confident, now looked unsettled. "You claim your species is strong because of intelligence and morality," it said slowly. "Yet we have never seen proof beyond flashy lights and shields." The man nodded. "Then I will show you," he said, gesturing to the prototype. The ship hummed in response, its panels shifting, lights dancing across its surface. "This is not just a machine," he exclaimed. "It learns, adapts, and understands life. It can heal, defend, and explore in ways you cannot imagine. Its strength is in its mind, just like ours." The aliens murmured in astonishment, some leaning forward, unable to hide their curiosity. How can this be?" Cliff Slack, clearly confused. The man smiled faintly. "Because Earth's strength is not in weapons or size. It is in creativity, intelligence, and the ability to make choices based on compassion. We protect life because we understand its value." He knelt once more beside the little girl, placing his glowing hands lightly on her mother's shoulder. The minor injuries from before healed completely. The light from his hands moved gently, and the mother gasped softly, awe and relief mixing in her expression. "See," the man said, quietly, "we do not need to destroy to win. We do not need to conquer to survive. This is our way, and it makes us stronger than many think." The little girl's eyes shone brightly. We really can protect each other?" she asked, hope clear in her voice. The man nodded. "Yes, always. That is our truth." Some of the council members whispered among themselves, their faces changing from doubt to cautious respect. "Perhaps Earth is not as weak as we assumed," one murmured. Another added, "They fight with thought, not just force." The silver-winged leader's voice was low, almost grudging. "It seems we misjudged your species." Its eyes lingered on the humans, curiosity and caution mixed. "Perhaps there is more to Earth than we realized." The man stepped forward, gaze calm but firm. "You laughed at our prototype, you mocked us, and some even tried to harm the innocent. But humans are not defined by fear or weakness. We are defined by courage, intelligence, and morality. That is why we survive. That is why we matter." The room was silent except for the gentle hum of the prototype. The aliens looked at one another, the realization spreading slowly. They had seen physical power before, but they had never seen strength like this, strength rooted in heart and mind. The little girl's mother spoke, voice steady now. They did not need to hurt anyone to show their strength, she said softly, and that is why humans are different. That is why they deserve respect. The council seemed to absorb this truth, whispers turning into thoughtful nods. Some aliens looked ashamed of their earlier laughter. Others were clearly impressed. Their mockery had ended. Replaced with understanding, the man's eyes swept across the chamber one last time. Calm, confident, and full of quiet power. You now know Earth's truth, he said. We may be small, but we are strong. We fight not with cruelty, but with courage and intelligence. That is what makes us a force to be respected. The little girl smiled faintly, clutching her mother's hand, hope shining in her green eyes. The council members could no longer see Earth as weak. The humans had revealed their greatest weapon, not technology alone, but their ethics, intelligence, and unity. The vote was about to begin. The chamber held its breath, and the tension was almost unbearable. But one thing was clear: Earth was no longer a species to mock. The universe had learned, in no uncertain terms, that humans had a hidden strength the galaxy had never expected. The council chamber was tense, every alien waiting for the vote that would decide Earth's fate. The humans stood quietly, the little girl beside her mother, their presence calm but full of quiet power. The prototype ship shimmered behind them, its lights blinking softly like a heartbeat. The silver-winged leader finally spoke, voice low but respectful. We underestimated Earth, it admitted. Your species has shown courage, intelligence, and morality beyond what we expected. Perhaps we were wrong to mock you. Some aliens nodded, others whispered in agreement. Their laughter and ridicule had vanished completely, replaced with awe and respect. The humans did not respond immediately. They waited, letting the council come to its own decision. The little girl tugged at the man's sleeve, eyes wide. Will they accept us now? She asked softly. The man smiled faintly. I think they will, he said. But remember, respect is earned, not demanded. The council began its vote, one alien after another, placing their hands on a glowing panel, signaling their choice. Silence filled the chamber, broken only by the soft hum of the prototype ship. The humans and the little girl watched quietly, their hearts steady but tense. Finally, the silver-winged leader raised its hand, signaling the end of the vote. Earth has been accepted, it announced. Its voice carried throughout the chamber, and the aliens murmured in shock and surprise. The humans allowed themselves small smiles, relief and pride mixing in their expressions. The little girl hugged her mother tightly. We are safe, she whispered, tears of joy in her eyes. Her mother nodded, holding her close. Yes, my child. You are safe. The man stepped forward, his gaze sweeping across the council. Calm and firm. Let this be remembered, he said. Strength is not only measured by size, power, or weapons, but by courage, intelligence, and morality. That is why Earth stands among you today. Some aliens lowered their heads, clearly humbled. Others looked thoughtful, as if rethinking everything they had believed about humanity. Even the silver-winged leader seemed impressed, its sharp eyes softening slightly. The humans and the little girl began to step toward the exit, the prototype ship glowing softly behind them. Whispers followed them, questions and awe mixing together. The humans had changed the council's view of an entire species. Before leaving, the man knelt briefly beside the little girl, whispering, Remember, one small voice can change the world. She smiled up at him, understanding the meaning. Her cry had begun it all, and now it had helped show the galaxy the truth of humans. As the humans left the chamber, the council members continued to talk quietly, their laughter gone, their mockery replaced with respect. The story of Earth's prototype and the courage of its people would be remembered. A small planet, once laughed at, had earned its place among the stars. The little girl waved at the council, her green eyes bright. We are not weak, she called softly. The council remained silent, but their all-new humans were different, special, and strong, in ways they had never understood. The man smiled faintly as they walked away, calm and proud. The humans had not only survived ridicule, but they had shown the galaxy the true meaning of strength, not through fear, destruction, or size, but through courage, intelligence, and the heart to protect life. And so, Earth's prototype, once mocked and ridiculed, had become a symbol of hope, a reminder to the universe that even the smallest voice can shatter laughter, and that humans, underestimated and quiet, could stand tall among the stars. The story ended with pride, suspense, resolved, and the galaxy forever changed by the courage of one man, a little alien girl, and the people of Earth.